The root of suffering is attachment and the pain of separation. The Dharma Sastra, this ancient wisdom, may be the first key to unlocking the mystery of human suffering. Beyond the bamboo forest lies a startling world, where the golden sunset pours down like molten gold, and the copper clouds at the horizon shift unpredictably, sketching a natural masterpiece. A wisp of sandalwood incense gently rises, intertwining with the breeze through the bamboo grove, permeating a tranquility that transcends the mundane world. The world-honored one sits serenely upon the lotus throne, his countenance both peaceful and dignified, like an unshakable mountain. In this silence, a young bhikkhu furrowed his brow, his inner confusion surging like waves. Finally, he quietly asked the venerable Kasyapa beside him. In the Sutra of 42 chapters, it is said that severing attachment to desire is like cutting off a dead branch. Since severing desire is so painful, why does the Buddha still require us to cut off lustful desire? Venerable Kasyapa slightly shook his head, his eyes shimmering with the light of contemplation. Virtuous brother, this question pertains to the very foundation of practice. It is beyond my ability to elucidate. He spoke, then slowly rose, his monastic robes fluttering, facing the Buddha with hands joined in a respectful gesture, his expression solemn. World-honored one, the ancients say that practitioners continuously endure without relent, like striving to gather sand and stones that never form a mold. Though disciples understand its importance, they do not grasp the profound meaning within. Venerable Kasyapa's expression was solemn, his voice imbued with a yearning for truth. I have seen many practitioners trapped in this kalpa, lingering without progress, as if stuck in a quagmire, unable to cross the sea of suffering. May I respectfully ask the Blessed One, why must practitioners sever their attachment to bodily desires? What is meant by the outflow of dependent origination? How can one stop this outflow so that their practice is not hindered? The air within the hall seemed to freeze at that moment, as all the disciples' gazes converged upon the Buddha, awaiting the Tathagata's commencement. The Buddha smiled gently as he glanced over each disciple present, and slowly spoke. Kasyapa, the question you raised today concerns a fundamental matter of practice. The voice of the Blessed One flowed like a clear spring, each word carrying boundless wisdom. Many practitioners only know that they must abandon sensual desire, yet they do not understand the underlying dependent origination. Today, I shall expound on this in detail for you all. Jaja respectfully bowed his head to listen, while the other disciples held their breath in silence, afraid to miss a single word of the Buddha's teachings. This moment, the truth about to be revealed may unravel the knot in the hearts of countless practitioners that has troubled them for centuries. If a practitioner continuously indulges in lustful thoughts, it is akin to deliberately fostering destructive desires, ultimately leading to futile efforts. The Buddha, with precise and rigorous teachings, pointed out the core essence of practice. Although lustful thoughts may seem like natural human instincts, they fundamentally harm the basis of cultivation and obstruct the path to liberation. At this moment, a young monk, overwhelmed with inner confusion, could no longer hold back and stepped forward to ask, World-honored one, humans have the 7 emotions and 6 desires, all of which are natural. Why is there a particular emphasis on cutting off lust for form? Are the other desires and emotions not worthy of concern? The Buddha looked kindly upon the eager disciple, unbothered by his interruptions, and instead admired his courageous quest for knowledge. He slowly raised his hand, pointing towards the shimmering lotus pond not far away, and said, Observe the lotus flowers in the pond. Their roots are in the mud but remain unstained. Their stems rise above the water, yet do not get wet. Practitioners in the world should be like this, uncontaminated by worldly defilements and undisturbed by desires. The young bhikkhu gazed toward the lotus pond, contemplative, yet a veil of unresolved doubt still lingered between his brows. The Buddha, perceiving the minds of all beings, continued to teach that all beings possess Buddha nature and are inherently capable of attaining Buddhahood. But why, throughout thousands of years, have countless sentient beings continued to struggle within the cycle of samsara, unable to attain liberation? The Buddha looked around, his gaze piercing like a torch, for he was obscured by the five aggregates, especially by sensory desire. When entangled with sensual desires, originating externally, the essence, energy, and spirit disperse. How then can one attain concentration and tranquility? How can one perceive the true nature of self? Upon hearing the four characters dependent origination, my tongue tingled and my eyes brightened, as if glimpsing a ray of dawn in the darkness, touching the very core of the issue. Observing this, the Buddha continued to expound deeply, stating that sentient beings in the world are largely ensnared by desires of form. At the arising of a single thought of sensual desire, the spirit follows outwardly, leaking away. The vital essence flows out accordingly, like a house leaking water. How can one dwell peacefully? If a practitioner cannot conserve their vital energy and their essence disperses, how can they enter bodily meditation? How can one open the eye of wisdom? At this moment, Venerable Ananda was deeply captivated by the question, and he stepped forward respectfully to inquire. World-honored one, what is the primordial spirit? Why is it said that lust can cause the original spirit to leak out? What, then, is the true relationship between this and spiritual practice? The Buddha raised his hand, gently stroking Ananda's head, and communicated with the hearts of the assembly, saying, Ananda, what you have asked is indeed the crucial point. Dependent origination is the fundamental source of life and the root of practice. If one can internally abide in the dependent origination of beings, with vitality abundant like a reservoir filled with clear water, wisdom naturally arises, and meditation is likewise accomplished. If one is moved by sensual desire, the essence will be lost, and dependent origination will scatter outward. Like water flowing continuously from a well, it will eventually run dry. Practitioners must first adhere to dependent origination. Only then is achievement possible. Suppose one hears these words. It is as if pure ghee were poured onto the crown, suddenly awakening with great clarity, fully realizing that what the world-honored one has spoken is absolutely true. I have seen many practitioners who, although they worship the Buddha and recite sutras diligently all day, and practice austerely, still find it difficult to attain samadhi. Their minds are like monkeys, their intentions like wild horses, never finding a moment of peace. The root of the problem lies in the failure to guard the original spirit, allowing it to dissipate outwardly. The Buddha's slight perspiration on his hands is precisely because of this. On the path of practice, severing lustful desire is no trivial matter. Many only recognize lust as an obstacle to cultivation, but do not understand its profound subtleties or the underlying principles. Without this insight, how can one truly eradicate it? At this moment, the sky outside the monastery had gradually darkened, and the distant clouds were dyed deep red by the setting sun, resembling burning flames. Yet in the hearts of the disciples, it was as if a bright lamp had been lit, illuminating the path of practice ahead. The Buddha looked at the assembled disciples, emphasizing that rather than becoming more solemn, the matter of lust concerns the success or failure of their practice. All sentient beings in the world have 7 precious treasures stored within, but due to a single leak, all their wealth is lost. Practitioners are the same. If they cannot guard the primordial spirit and allow it to dissipate outwardly, no matter how much wisdom they have, it will eventually be completely lost. It is like a water container with a hole. Although the source of living water is continuous, it ultimately cannot be sustained. As night deepened, lights were lit within the bamboo grove temple, casting a soft glow upon the Buddha's visage. The gentle illumination rendered him even more compassionate and majestic, as if a beacon within the universe, guiding lost sentient beings. Gaia, remember this, for practitioners, Eliminating lust is not only a requirement of the precepts, but also an essential path in cultivation. If dependent origination is broken, it is like a boat leaking water. It will eventually sink. No matter how hard one rows, reaching the other shore becomes impossible. Kagyu, having deeply studied the teachings, raised a practical question with reverence, asking, Shakyamuni, though I understand the rituals clearly, the path of practice is long and arduous. How should practitioners specifically abandon sensual desire and prevent the leakage of karmic conditions? What method can be sought? Hearing Kasyapa's question, the Buddha's gaze was as sharp as lightning, sweeping across the faces of every disciple present. At this moment, the entire scripture hall was enveloped in profound silence, where even the sound of the wind rustling through the bamboo dwelling could be distinctly heard. Everyone knows that the upcoming beginning will be priceless concerning the success or failure of cultivation. Kasyapa, your question is well asked. The Buddha's voice suddenly deepened profoundly, as if coming from a distant void. Why must practitioners extinguish lust for form? Within this lies the secret most easily overlooked by practitioners, and it is also the key to attaining liberation. Ananda, overwhelmed with emotion, could not help but inquire, Bhagwan, what is the relationship between this secret and the external manifestation of dependent origination? Why do so many great and virtuous monks emphasize this matter? The Buddha slightly nodded, his eyes shimmering with profound light. Indeed, when lust arises, dependent origination tends to leak outward. But what exactly is dependent origination? Why does leakage occur? How does it lead to obstacles in practice? The profound mystery here is no trivial matter. It is a crucial juncture on the path to liberation. Kasyapa, upon hearing this, showed a startled expression on his face. Venerable One, are all obstacles to practice in the world caused by the external leakage of dependent origination? If one can firmly uphold dependent origination, the practice can progress by leaps and bounds each day. The Buddha gently touched his knee with his finger, slowly and firmly. Over countless generations, numerous practitioners have diligently trained, recited sutras, worshipped the Buddha, and endured hardships ceaselessly, yet they remained trapped by appearances and failed to attain liberation. This was precisely because they did not understand this truth. When you are intoxicated by sensual desire, the life force energy, like a leaking treasure, flows away along with the primordial vitality of existence. Practice is like rowing upstream. It requires strong inner strength to support it. Once dependent origination is breached, even 1,000 years of arduous practice cannot lead to true enlightenment, much like a funnel that can never be filled with water. The Buddha looked at the eager eyes of his disciples and spoke slowly. The reason why sensual desire is considered the primary hindrance to practice is not related to morality or precepts, but concerns the flow of life's dependent origination. Safeguard the primordial spirit, consolidate energy inwardly, and let wisdom arise. The gathered disciples seemed to be in deep thought, quietly nodding in agreement. This teaching is like parting the clouds to reveal a clear sky, enabling them to gain a deeper understanding of cultivation. The vital essence of a person is the fundamental source of cultivation. If one allows the outflow of lustful desires, it is like the loss of oil in a lamp. How then can the lamp of wisdom be illuminated? How then can one penetrate the darkness of ignorance? The assembly of disciples appeared contemplative, silently nodding in acknowledgement. This teaching is like parting the clouds to reveal a clear blue sky, enabling them to gain a deeper understanding of their practice. Practitioners who uphold dependent origination observe 4 profound principles. The Buddha raised one finger solemnly. The first principle is to clearly understand the fundamental essence. You should know that human life is hard to obtain, and the Buddha's teachings are difficult to hear. To obtain this human body and yet fail to cultivate the path is like returning empty-handed from a mountain of treasures. it is truly a great pity. Lust is a fundamental human instinct, but practitioners must transcend this instinct in order to attain the way. It is like a bird. If it cannot overcome gravity, how can it soar across the sky? The second level is visualization transformation. When a desire for sensual pleasures arises, one should neither forcibly suppress it nor blindly indulge it. One should contemplate this thought as being like clouds or smoke, neither clinging to it at the moment nor chasing after it when it vanishes. One should transform this energy into the power of practice, just as one converts mud into fertilizer to nurture the Bodhi tree. Energy does not perish, it only transforms. The wisdom of practitioners lies in transforming the dissipating sensual desires, which deplete vital energy, into the power that enhances prajna, wisdom. Venerable Ananda, intrigued by this, inquired, "Blessed One, how can the energy of sensual desire be transformed into the power of practice? What specific methods are there?" The Buddha smiled and said, "Well said. This question is indeed essential. When the thought of sensual desire arises, one should contemplate its essence as emptiness, neither real nor unreal. Each morning at dawn, sit facing east and meditate, visualizing a red sun rising from within your body, its radiance illuminating your entire being. By practicing in this way, the energy of sensual desire is transformed into the power of cultivation. It not only does not diminish, but actually becomes beneficial. For example, a river, if left to flood unchecked, can cause disasters. But if properly guided, it can irrigate fertile fields and benefit all sentient beings. The third level is the continuous practice of maintaining unity. The mind is like a monkey, also like a wild horse. Practitioners should learn to maintain oneness. Maintaining oneness means the mind does not wander outward, and the intent does not dissipate externally. Every morning at dawn, sit facing east and meditate, visualizing a red sun rising from within your body, its radiant light illuminating your entire being. By contemplating in this way and persevering steadfastly, one naturally regards dependent origination as primary, maintaining the vital essence without loss, like a wooden bucket guarding a cow, preventing it from wandering astray. The fourth level, illuminating the mind and witnessing the true nature. You should understand that all thoughts of sensual desire arise due to ignorance. If one can clearly perceive the mind and realize the true nature, reaching the understanding that one's intrinsic nature is fundamentally empty, then the thoughts of sensory desire will naturally dissolve. Originally, Bodhi has no tree. The clear mirror is nowhere stand. Originally, there is not a single thing. Where can dust be attracted? This is the very truth. After realizing one's true nature, one does not forcibly suppress desire. Rather, sensual desires naturally dissolve into the light of wisdom, just as ice and snow melt naturally under the sunlight. Upon hearing these four profound principles, Householder, she felt as if he had obtained a precious treasure and suddenly attained great enlightenment. The monk spoke. The world-honored one, with boundless compassion, revealed this profound Dharma gate, directly pointing to the essential points of practice. Disciples must earnestly remember and diligently uphold it, without ceasing day or night. The Buddha nodded and smiled. Besides these four fundamental principles of the mind, practitioners should also master the specific methods of guarding dependent origination. Daily recitation, from 3 to 5 in the early morning, is the time when yang energy first rises in the day. All things awaken, and the energy of heaven and earth is at its most tranquil. Meditating and practicing cultivation at this time yields the best results, like planting in spring, achieving twice the result with half the effort. In practice, first suspend the body, then regulate the breath, and afterward calm the mind, progressing step by step without haste, just like climbing a mountain. One must place each foot firmly before advancing to reach the summit. The person hanging their body maintains an upright posture, like the 4 pillars of a pine tree, stepping forward and backward, stepping left and right, with a straight spine and smooth flow of qi and blood. The practitioner regulates the breath with long and gentle inhalations, alternating between quick and slow steps, between heavy and light strides, like a spring breeze caressing the face, like a gentle brook flowing continuously. The one who regulates the mind keeps the mind's pillars steady in one place, neither scattered nor confused, walking with steady and relaxed steps, like the clear water of a lake, transparent and visible to the bottom. With these three samadhis fully accomplished, the mind naturally inwardly receives influence without being disturbed by sensual desires, like a fortress firmly fortified, difficult for external enemies to approach. Ananda further asked, "World-honored one, if a practitioner finds it difficult to control intense, lustful thoughts, with a mind like a wild horse that is hard to tame, how should they respond?" The Buddha compassionately looked at Ananda, saying that these are common difficulties on the path of practice, and there is no need for self-blame. In such situations, one can employ the contemplation of impurity from the 5 remembrances meditation, visualizing the human body as impure, with filth beneath the skin. By observing in this way, one realizes the true nature of the physical body. Desire for form naturally ceases, just as one naturally refrains from eating when understanding that the food is poisonous. During this practice, there is an even more exquisite Dharma method called the 9-jointed Buddha. When sitting cross-legged, place the tongue against the palate. Take 9 deep breaths. With each exhalation, visualize impurities being expelled from the Baihui acupoint. With each inhalation, visualize pure energy entering through the Baihui acupoint. By practicing in this way, one can swiftly purify the mind and eliminate sensual desires, like a gentle breeze sweeping away dust, naturally dispersing them. The Buddha paused for a moment, glanced around, and continued, "The accomplishments of great masters throughout the ages are all due to their mastery of the law of dependent origination and its preservation. Like the Venerable Gaia, who diligently practiced asceticism and inward contemplation, accumulating merit and supreme wisdom, he persistently upheld dependent origination. Just as a sharp eye maintains focus during meditation, embodying the highest spiritual powers, he likewise steadfastly guarded dependent origination. Throughout history and across cultures, without exception, abiding in dependent origination leads to successful practice, while losing touch with dependent origination ultimately results in no attainment. This is an eternal truth, just as all things that come into existence must eventually perish, and the cycle of the 4 seasons is irreversible. Lust is the delusion and obstacle of sentient beings. It marks the very beginning of the path of practice. Those who can transcend sensual desire achieve liberation and progress further. Those who cannot transcend it ultimately fall into the cycle of samsara. You ought to wait. It is not that you cannot, but that you do not understand the method. Today, I give teachings for your benefit to help you understand that severing sensual desire is not difficult. The key lies in maintaining mindfulness of dependent origination. Just as treating an illness requires addressing its root cause, prescribing the appropriate remedy according to the symptoms is essential for complete healing. The Buddha then took a scroll of scriptures from his sleeve and handed it to Kasyapa. This is the Sutra of the Perfect Protection of the Dharma, containing detailed methods of practice. You must preserve it carefully to guide future practitioners, so that countless sentient beings may be liberated from suffering and attain bliss. With utmost reverence, Gaia cupped the offering carefully in both hands, gently drawing it close to his chest as if holding an invaluable treasure. The Buddha further said, "If one practices for 7 days, one will attain some accomplishment. On the first day, guard the mouth and control the mind. Do not speak falsehoods, nor indulge in lustful thoughts. On the second day, regulate the body and breath, stabilizing both body and mind. On the third day, the mind was observed to remain unmoved, like a mountain or a rock. On the fourth day, one realizes the concept of no self and eradicates attachment to the self. On the fifth day, transform lustful thoughts, converting desire into wisdom. On the sixth day, to uphold dependent origination and protect the fundamental source. On the seventh day, just as in meditation, wisdom manifests. By practicing in this manner, one is certain to achieve results, just as spring sowing inevitably leads to autumn harvest, never to be in vain. The Buddha finally concluded, Kasayapa, what you have asked today is indeed a fundamental matter of practice. Practitioners who sever lust are not simply exercising willpower or instinct, but through dependent origination, they protect and transform life's energy into spiritual cultivation power. Upholding dependent origination is like guarding a treasure. If the principle of dependent origination is lost, it is akin to losing the entire treasure. The path of practice may seem arduous, yet it is actually simple. As long as one upholds dependent origination and is not swayed by sensual desires, like a lotus flower emerging from the mud yet remaining unstained, their practice is bound to bear fruit. You must diligently remember the words spoken today, diligently practice, and surely attain fruition, thereby departing from suffering and attaining bliss. The night was deep, and the scripture hall was brightly lit. The teachings of the Buddha, like sweet nectar, nourish the hearts of every disciple. The monastic assembly and all disciples, upon sudden enlightenment, realize that today's inquiries are essential for practice. To uphold respect, declare vows solemnly, diligently cultivate practice, sever lustful desires, protect the original spirit, and swiftly attain the realization of Bodhi. From that day onward, the practice atmosphere at the Bamboo Grove Sutra Hall became even more diligent. Disciples, following the Buddha's teachings, practiced the method of guarding the primordial spirit. Many quickly entered meditation and attained wisdom. The Buddha's teaching on severing lust for form and guarding the primordial spirit has been revered in later generations as the path to enlightenment, passed down from generation to generation, benefiting countless sentient beings. Centuries later, as we face the complexities of modern life and the temptations of various desires, the Buddha's teachings still shine like a bright lamp, illuminating the depths of our hearts. Guarding the primordial spirit is not only a practice path for cultivators, but also the wisdom through which every individual can enhance the quality of life. When we understand the nature of desire and recognize the importance of guarding dependent origination, life becomes purer and clearer, and the mind grows more peaceful and harmonious. This may be the most precious gift the Buddha left us, the key to inner peace, known as the root of suffering, the assembly of separation from loved ones. When we truly comprehend the profound meaning of this sentence, perhaps we can find that untainted pure land amidst the chaotic mundane world, safeguarding our original mind and protecting the most precious part of our life.